This is Agentic Wave, your gateway to the latest breakthroughs in AI, the tech that's transforming how we live, work, and create.
So Hollywood is at this massive crossroads, right? And smack in the middle of it all is a technology that's forcing everyone, and I mean everyone, to ask a huge question. What does it even mean to be an artist anymore? We're talking, of course, about artificial intelligence, and believe me, it is kicking off an existential crisis for the entire entertainment industry.
Right, let's meet the catalyst for a lot of this conversation, Tilly Norwood. When she first appeared on social media, this was one of her first posts. It's a line that's perfectly designed to be provocative, right? To blur that line between computer code and, well, consciousness. As the world's very first AI-generated actor, she wasn't introduced with a movie trailer. Nope, she was introduced with a tweet that sent some serious shockwaves through the creative community. And you better believe Hollywood noticed. Which brings us to the absolute core question of this entire debate. Just look at the screen for a second. What do you think? Is she an actor? It sounds like such a simple question, but the answer is incredibly complex, and it's literally splitting the entertainment industry right down the middle. Okay, let's get into it. To really understand this whole conflict, we have to start by looking at the argument for using AI. What do the people who support this stuff see when they look at a creation like Tilly Norwood? So to get the debate, you first have to understand what Tilly Norwood actually is. See, she's not like a CGI character from a Marvel movie, where a real actor's performance is captured and then painted over with digital effects. With Tilly, there is no human performer. None. Her every move, every subtle expression, every word she speaks is generated by an AI model. And here's the really crucial part. That model was trained on the performances of tons of real actors. Actors who were reportedly never asked for permission and never paid a dime. Now, her creator, Aline Vandervelden, she frames this completely differently. She doesn't see Tilly as a threat, but as the next step in an evolution. The argument is, look, this is just like when animation or CGI came along. It's another tool in the toolbox to expand creativity. They're pitching it as the new paintbrush for a whole new generation of filmmakers. But, a lot of people in Hollywood, they don't see a paintbrush. They see a full-blown existential threat that could just completely devalue their entire life's work. And that so-called new tool has sparked a massive backlash. Which brings us to part 2, Hollywood's existential reckoning. And this isn't just some vague, undirected anger. The opposition from artists and writers and actors is actually really organized. It's built on 3 very specific, very deep fears: theft of likeness, theft of labor, and theft of intellectual property. Let's break those down one by one. For theft of likeness, you honestly couldn't find a better case study than the recent showdown between Scarlett Johansson and OpenAI. So the company asked to use her famous voice for their new AI assistant. She thought about it and said no. But what happened? OpenAI went ahead and released a voice called Sky that sounded so much like her that even her closest friends were fooled. To make matters worse, the company's CEO just tweets out the word her, a direct reference to the movie where Johansson voiced an AI. It wasn't until lawyers got involved that OpenAI finally agreed to pause the voice. And this leads us right into that second fear: theft of labor. The actors union SAG-AFTRA, they did not mince words. In their official statement, they're basically saying, hold on, Tilly is not an actor. She's a computer program that was built on the uncredited, unpaid work of our members. This goes right back to how she was created. It's not about one synthetic actor getting a job. It's about the value of all the human labor that was allegedly stolen to build her. And that third fear, theft of intellectual property, well, it isn't just a concern for actors. The scale of the pushback from the entire creative community has been absolutely staggering. We're talking more than 400 of them, all coming together to send one single, unified message. And that's how many top-tier Hollywood creators signed a really powerful open letter to the government. We're not talking small names either. The list includes Oscar-winning directors like Guillermo del Toro, absolute visionaries like Ava DuVernay and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and beloved actors like Cate Blanchett and Ben Stiller. It's a massive coalition of talent, all speaking with one voice. So what did they all want? Well, it's actually something pretty simple. For the AI companies to play by the same rules as everybody else. Uphold the existing copyright law. If you want to use someone's creative work to train your shiny new multi-billion-dollar models, you need to ask, you need to negotiate, and you need to pay for a license. No special treatment from the government. Now, This fight isn't just a war of words being fought in open letters and press releases. No, this is a battle being waged on brand new fronts, drawing new lines in the sand in union contracts and even in the halls of government.
The most visible battle, of course, was the big Hollywood strikes in 2023, and they resulted in some truly landmark protections. For writers, the WGA made it clear, AI cannot get a writing credit, period. That protects human authorship. And for actors, SAG-AFTRA established that studios need an actor's informed consent and have to pay them if they want to use their digital replicas. I mean, these were huge, foundational wins. But this whole conflict actually fits into a much broader legal story. The battle over a person's likeness, it isn't entirely new. You can actually trace it all the way back to a 1988 case where the singer Bette Midler sued Ford for using someone who sounded just like her in a commercial. That set a major precedent. But now, we are seeing a massive acceleration. You have the 2023 strike wins, then Tennessee passes the Elvis Act to protect voices from AI, and now there's a proposed federal No Fakes Act. The law is literally in a dead sprint, just trying to keep up with the technology.
So where does all this go? What does the future actually look like? Well, that brings us to our final section. Can the industry land on some kind of regulated coexistence?
If you really want to understand the future, you have to follow the money. This AI revolution is creating some very clear financial winners and losers. The biggest winners by far are the tech companies, like NVIDIA, Adobe, and Google that are actually providing the tools. The studios are kind of in the middle. Sure, they stand to save millions on production, but they also risk alienating the very creative talent they depend on. And the people most at risk? Well, it's the individual creatives, whose unique skills and likenesses are the exact things AI is trying to replicate.
So what's the most likely path forward? Well, in the short term, you can probably expect to see AI used mostly behind the scenes, helping out with editing, special effects, and marketing. Long term, though, it could become a much deeper creative partner. But that core challenge is always going to be there, balancing that corporate push for cost-cutting efficiency with the need for genuine creative authenticity. The most likely outcome seems to be a regulated coexistence, a framework of rules negotiated by everyone to allow for innovation while making sure human artists are always protected and paid.
And that leaves us with this one last crucial question. This is what's really at the heart of the whole thing. It's not just about the tech or the contracts or the money. As artificial intelligence gets scarily good at imitation, it forces all of us to define and to defend what makes human creativity so special and valuable in the first place. What do you think the answer is?